What's going on, bassheads? Y'all know since the beginning of the channel, I've been running the Taramps amps for my subwoofer test that I do on the channel. Here are a couple examples. We've got a bass 8K, bass smart 8K, T12K, MD12K, DS4000X4, two more bass 8Ks, Boss 3, and my Taramp smart charger. That's been sitting here for like 2 or 3 years now and is still kicking it. Now, I have had several other amps that either have blown over the years or that I've given away or sold. Point being, y'all, I have had a ton of Taramps, had a lot of good experiences with them. They kind of make the perfect amp for all the tests that I do. So today, extremely excited to be checking out this new amp for y'all. That's right, this is the Taramps Big Boss 8. Very, very exciting to have this guy sitting here. Let's take a look at it. YouTube, if you want to buy some equipment that you know is going to last you, that you know you can put in, it's going to work well, it's going to sound great, and you want something that is going to be an awesome bang for the buck, no matter what your budget is, and you guys, you got to go check out Alfred Audio. Of course, they have their Def Bonds lineup that you see here. Bunch of great subs from them, all the way from $100 budget subs to top-of-the-line $1,000 subs. Same goes for amps, guys. They have tons of options, anywhere from super compact, great quality amps to absolutely massive 20Ks. If you need it, they got it. Or if you want to save a little bit, their Avatar line is awesome as well. Still absolutely great quality stuff at a little bit cheaper price. In my big build that I did this past summer, of course, I ran 8 of the Avatar STU 15s. And I could not have been happier with that setup. Those subs were a great value and took the power like nobody's business. Link, of course, to Alfred Audio in the description below. Huge shout out to them for sponsoring this channel and just for honestly being a huge supporter of it. And once again, thank you. So back to the video. Huge thank you to Taramps for sending me this directly from Brazil. Let's open this guy up. Oh yes, guys. First off, you get the massive decal that they always send with their bigger amps. They also sent me one of their bass knobs. Now, you know, back in the day, they'd have a little clip indicator, but there was no bass knob. Now you can either still use that old just clipping in the indicator, or you can hook up your bass knob, which of course has the clipping indicator still on it, so that's pretty cool. Here she is, y'all. Let's get her unpacked. Real quick, this is one of my complaints I've mentioned in my other videos, just about Taramps in general. These little guys, they don't make them long enough, so you can't tighten them, you know, all the way down when there's no wire in it. So they will jiggle their way out of there if they're just sitting without there being any wire. I had one of their amps hooked up in my truck. I had it mounted. I had not hooked up the wire though. I was driving around with it. Anyway, the guys, because I couldn't tighten it down, couldn't put tension on them, they just kind of loosened their way out and got lost in the truck. I was able to find them after a while, but still, guys, that could easily be fixed by having a little bit longer screw or bolt or whatever you want to call it. Here it is, guys. Now, not going to necessarily go over every single little detail here. The Big Boss 8 is basically a Smart 8 bass. Same ratings, same controls. Majority of it is the exact same design. Big difference, the Big Boss 8 has a bunch of really cool lights, which is awesome. And I think it's kind of interesting that really just a year ago they came out with the Smart 8 bass, and then here they are coming out with the Big Boss, which is just, I don't know, it's like they're just stepping up what they already did, which is cool. I'm excited to see how this thing does. Again, I know it's going to do well because the Smart 8 bass has been absolutely incredible. I've got 2 of these. I've got one here. I've got one that I've had mounted in my truck since I got them about a year ago. It's been absolutely great. Just been a wonderful amp. Puts out plenty of power. And I've, you know, blown several subs while having it hooked up. And I've not had a single issue. I've not damaged an amp. So these amps really are awesome guys. Now again, these Big Boss amps are really a Smart Series amp. What that means is that from 0.5 ohm to 2 ohms, these guys, at least theoretically, put out the exact same power. So this is, of course, an 8,000 watt RMS amp. Normally, guys, an amp that would mean at 1 ohm, it can do that. This guy it'll maintain that same power from half an ohm up to 2 ohm, which is really, really cool. Reason they do that is that, let's say you have a dual 2 ohm sub, you wire it down to 1 ohm. When you start playing it, those ohms, the impedance of that sub actually starts to rise. A lot of variables go into it. The specs of your box can affect that. The heat can affect it. Point being, those ohms rise, which means you get less power to that sub. So this guy helps fight that, because as it reads that impedance is raising, it starts putting out more power to compensate for that additional power. One really neat thing I have noticed about these smart amps, again, I've tried several, when you get the clipping, they don't really seem to clip much. It means it's gonna help save a lot of subs. Over here on this side, we have our RCA input, output. These are not Tiffany style connectors, so all that means is they're not quite as strong. You wanna be a little careful when you're plugging and unplugging your RCAs in there. If you're doing it a bunch, it is possible those could snap off, as opposed to a Tiffany style connector, which is actually bolted onto the case of the amp, so it'd be very, very hard to break that off. Moving on, we have gain, high pass, low pass, frequency, and boost adjustments, as you can see there. And of course, we have our level tool and remote monitor here. And then we have 4 gauge outputs and our remote input. And then what I really like about these over the old just regular base 8Ks, whereas these guys only had 1 pair of inputs, so you really had to run dual inputs to make sure this guy had plenty of power. This guy already has 2 pairs of inputs, so you don't got to worry about running extra dual inputs into this guy. Here are some oversized 0 gauge sky-high audio wire. Y'all, this is big, beefy wire, so let's make sure it fits in these things. As you can see, y'all, it fits right into there. Really, really nice. And they have this little lip here, so once the wire is all the way in, you don't have to worry about little strands pulling out. Here's a 0 gauge sky-high car audio wire ferrule. Let's see if that fits. Yes, sir. Fits in there just perfect. All right, got the guy hooked up. Now, yes, unfortunately, it is hooked up upside down. That's the only way that works with my whole little setup here, but hey, is what it is. Let's power it on and see how these lights look. Yes, sir. Woo! Pretty cool. Again, I'm sorry it's upside down, but it is what it is. So there's a little button over here. There you go, you press. That's how you go through the different fellas. There's like a disco ball in here. Would love to have a whole wall of these things. Shoo, that'd look good. Nice. Oh yeah, this one's kind of cool. I remember this one from the... Nice. Look at that. So cool. Got the strobe lights. Obviously this is upside down, but we got red, white, and blue. I thought this was cool, guys. So I was trying to show this in the last one, but they can flip it either way, so that way if your Taramps is upside down, you got the red, white, and blue. Well, isn't that neat? I love it. Same thing, we got the green, white, and red. And then if you don't want the lights, you don't want to be crazy, hey, that's okay. You can do it with that, where it only is going to have the 8 lit up. Y'all, how crazy is that? I know I've already showed that with the 3K Big Boss amp, but the 8K being so much bigger means this whole LEDs are just so much more, so much brighter. It looks absolutely awesome. I love there are so many different options, and the fact that it'll play along with the bass is just so cool. I cannot wait to see some big builds where they have a bunch of these things on a wall lined up and they got them all playing. That'll be super cool. Maybe I'll get another one of those amps, and that's what I'll do in my next build. Who knows, guys? That would be pretty cool. All right. Hooked up another sub in here so we can test the power on this guy. Both of these subs are dual 2 ohm subs. Of course, each sub is wired down to 1 ohm, and then together it's wired down to half an ohm. So let's play some music, see what kind of power we get out of this thing. Car is running. You'll see we're sitting at about 13.7 volts. So we're not at the 14.4 that this guy says, you know, it takes to get to that full 8,000 watts. But hey, let's see how close we get. Y'all, we peaked up to 10,000 watts there, but I'm going to put this on the dyno feature. That way it'll cut off at the highest point, assuming we're not clipping, of course. Let's see what it shows. All right, 11,000 watts at 0.6 ohms. Let's try that again, see if we can get the ohms to raise a little bit. Okay, peaked about the same. Over 11,000 watts at that 0.6 ohms. So I'm going to pull one of these subs out. I'm going to wire it in series instead of parallel. That'll raise our impedance some. So we'll do that, and then we'll test it again. All right, got that guy rewired. Let's try it again. Okay, so you can see at 0.9 ohms, almost 1 ohm, hey, we're still sitting above 10,000 watts. All right, I went ahead and wired this one in series as well, which should help raise the impedance even more. So let's give it another shot. All right, rewiring that one really raised our impedance a lot. Maybe that guy's a dual too. Anyway, point being, hey, at about 13.4 volts at 2.2 ohms, we were still getting about 5,000 watts before clipping. Okay, so at 0.6 ohms, getting well above 11,000 watts. At 0.9 ohms, getting well above 10,000 watts. And then at 2.4 ohms, getting above 5,000 watts. We'll have to see what it can do closer to 2 ohms. And of course, closer to that 14.4 volts as well. But regardless, the amp doing incredibly well. Really puts out the power. Sounds great. People complain about some of the older Taramps not having great sound quality. Y'all, in my opinion, this thing sounds just as good as any other bass amp out there, and there's no like whines or no weird static sounds going through it, which is nice. Other thing I really like about the amp is that the fans are not super loud. When it gets hot, they'll kick on for a sec to get some air moving through it, but then they turn right back off or go down to a lower speed, which is really cool. The old MDs and old bass series amps just have the most annoying loud fans in there that you could imagine. The new smart amps, the Big Boss amps, so much quieter, so much better. Well, that was fun. Huge thank you to Taramps for sending me that guy to try out for y'all. All right, that's gonna do it for this video. Remember, as always, y'all, keep bassing on.